comparing 3 main types of rod and reels. This will be excluding fly fishing rods, but you know, they aren't as commonly used. So we're going to be naming the 3 main ones. Well, comparing them and then ranking them. First one, probably the best for beginners, is the spincast rod. You face it upwards, and all you do is swing back, press that button, and it goes. Very hard to tangle, and very good for beginners. And it is closed, so you're not gonna have any tangles. So that's good, you know. You want this rod. You want this if you're a beginner. This is a Zebco 33 Micro. There's the Zebco 33, which the normal one, which I hear is one of the best spin casts, but I'm not really. This is very good for beginners anyway. The rod, it's a decent rod, decent reel. But you know, you definitely want to upgrade. But for a beginner, this is good. And next, kind of like the medium to use, but not like hard or easy, would be the spinning reel. Now, this one in particular, it's a 7-foot heavy or medium heavy, I can't remember. And it's actually for saltwater. We have a lipless crankbait tied on there. And actually, I caught my PB bass on this rod. So yeah, this bass, even though it is a saltwater rod for spinning, I caught my PB bass on this. And yeah, spinning, as you can see, they're open bail. So you will tangle a little bit more, but not tangle a ton. So what you do to cast is you open the bail, and then you press against this, and then you swing back. Pretty simple. You don't tangle it too much. You'll tangle it a little. But yeah, this is definitely a good rod, and good for once you're getting into actual bass fishing. And next, probably the hardest of the main rods used for bass fishing, or fishing in general, is the baitcaster. We have some 20-pound braid tied on there, and a buzz bait on there. This one is a 6'6", medium heavy. So yeah, this has a lot of buttons and a lot of dials. So yeah, and it'll backflash a lot if you don't do a cast pretty much perfect. So basically what you do is you see this button right there. So you basically press that in, hold on the spool, and then swing it back and press your thumb on this slowly and start applying pressure until it's there. And there's a lot of knobs. This little orange thing right here, turn it back, it'll release the spools more, so the spool will fall and more likely get tangled, but it'll cast further. And then there's the dial on this side, which if you have it all the way down, it'll almost always backlash. If not, and it'll cast super far, but if not, you won't almost ever backlash, but you'll cast like 2 yards. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of buttons. It's confusing and it's hard to backlash, but these are very accurate rods, and they cast pretty far. Not, I wouldn't say as far as the spinning reel, but they cast far. And they're probably the most comfortable, in my opinion, to reel in, and the smoothest, in my opinion. So let's start with the pros and cons of each. So the pros and cons, let's start with the baitcaster. So the baitcaster, one of the pros is it's very comfortable, very smooth, and, you know, and another pro is that, you know, you can adjust it more. So it's confusing, but you can adjust it to your liking more than the other rods. One of the pros, another pro, is that it's super accurate. It's pinpoint accuracy. And this is kind of like a medium because it's an average casting, sometimes far. It really just depends on the rod type. You definitely want to do this if you're fishing swampy water. It's also good for big lures. But if you're fishing swampy water and you need that accuracy to not get caught in like stuff and trees, like where I fish there's tons of trees, you definitely want a baitcaster. So yeah, but some of the cons is it backlashes a lot. It's confusing. And, yeah. Okay, so let's move to the spinning reels pros and cons. So, let's look at this. So, some of the pros are, you can actually switch the size you want this on most reels. Fairly simple to use, doesn't tangle too much. It is very far. You can just chuck it out there as far as you want. And that's why these are often used for saltwater, because, you know, if you're in the ocean, you don't really need accuracy. You can just chuck it out there. That's why often people use these for saltwater. And this is a saltwater rod in particular. But some of the cons are it is not accurate. And sometimes they're not that smooth. But, yeah, there's definitely really good. And next we have the spincast from the pros. Super easy to get for beginners, and it does not tangle much. All you do is press the button. Now, one of the things is it is enclosed, so the water gets in there and actually causes more damage. So you're gonna want to dry it out sometimes and open it. But anyway, that is pretty much all I have to say for the spincast. Easy to use, but closed, so it doesn't really. Also, it's not very good at reeling in big fish. Next okay, we're gonna rank them. So now number 3. Well, I had to put it number 3. This is probably the best if you're a beginner, but number 3, I had to put the spincast reel, just because, you know, if you're getting actually into bass fishing, and you really want to be a bass fisherman, you're not gonna want this anymore. You know, this is good for your beginning fishing for bluegill, or even when you first start bass fishing. But after a while, you know, you don't really want to use this anymore. So that's why I put it in number 3. Number 2 and number 1, it's a very close one. And this can all depend on what type of place you fish. But considering where I fish, I had to put the I had to put the spinning reel at number 2 because, well, I couldn't decide whether to put this at 1 or 2. I do decide that because, you know, it is not very accurate. In the places I'm fishing, there's tons of swamps and trees, so you gotta be accurate, and this is just for, you can chuck it out far, but I'm not fishing wide open areas or super big areas. So where I come down, this really is not as useful. Where I fish mostly, this is really not as useful as, you know, what I put at number 1, which is the only one left. So that, of course, is the baitcaster. And this is for where I'm fishing, but it won't be the same for anywhere. The baitcaster, why? Because it's accurate and it casts pretty far. And, you know, for the areas with trees and swampiness, that is very useful. So, and once you get experienced bass angler and you can know how to use it, then it's very useful, and that's why I put baitcaster at number 1. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.